Thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which
You've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says
that's probably
execution
a lie.
After birth. It's execution,
That's
no
a
longer
lie.
abortion, because the baby
like
is...
there's some things that you should automatically know. You should automatically know that are just lies. Like Donald Trump is just lying to you. Yeah, that's a lie. I don't even have to look that up. That's a lie. And if anyone in the comments goes like, "Oh, well, how do you know?" I can easily look it up and prove it. And then what did I prove? I proved that something that's an obvious lie is a lie. Like, come on now. So, I do want to go back to the question. I'm sorry, I'm rewinding a little bit because I want to make sure I get all the context.
To the issue of abortion, President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban.
So interesting. So he went from supporting or saying that he's trying to have his cake and eat it too. That's what he's trying to do. He wants to get the pro-choice voters, but also doesn't want to lose his pro-life voters. This is so Trump is struggling with this abortion issue.
To be brought back to the states where the people
could vote. So he's making radical claims about things that nobody's saying.
Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it.
A little bit.
But we were able to get it, and now also says execution after birth. It's an execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born.
Nobody wants
okay.
that. Donald Trump is
and that's
lying.
not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade.
What's interesting, he's not answering the question at all in regards to why he changed his position regarding abortion. He knows he can't answer it. A little political maneuvering. He knows he can't answer it, but he's not real. So he's my issue, because like I understand political maneuvering. It's annoying. It's frustrating. But what Donald Trump does that Kamala Harris has not done so far is come out of it saying ridiculous lies and saying stuff that's irrelevant to the question. Right now, he's on topic, but he's saying so crazy, crazy stuff that nobody has done. Nobody supports a 9-month abortion. Nobody supports a post baby abortion. Like, nobody supports this. I don't know why he keeps bringing it up.
Into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President.
W! Stop with the misinformation. Fudge, man. No, that's not a thing. It's just not. Donald Trump needs to stop saying it. Similar to how Kamala, there's more at the very least with Project 2025. Like, there's more meat on that bone. Even though I think Kamala should stop making it like a major point. There's more meat on the bone because you can connect a lot of stuff to Donald Trump, regardless if he's refuting or regardless if he's denouncing it because he's a pathological liar. The abortion stuff, there's no backing. There's no meat on that bone. Nobody supports this. None. So I don't know.
Well,
why
as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you,
I'm gonna leave that alone.
when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a
Kamala was absolutely cooking the shit out of Donald Trump. It was barbecue chicken. Then she brought up the national abortion ban and Project 2025 again. Stop bringing these things up. I don't think you can make a strong case that Donald Trump supports a national abortion ban. I don't think you can make a strong case at all. I think that has no meat on its bone. Project 2025 does, but you can't keep bringing it up. I think you should bring the concept of it up and how he's related to it, but you can't use that as a crux to prove a position from Donald Trump. You can't do that. Absolutely not.
National abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms,
A monitor's
in particular
crazy,
the
though.
freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban.
See, you
because
give 'em-
we've
you
gotten
give 'em
what everybody wanted.
ammunition
Democrats,
to respond to something
Republicans,
that-
and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart. And they've wanted
It's
it
still
back in
tearing
the
the country
states.
apart.
And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress.
Why couldn't he just answer the question? I won't have to. Just say yes. I would veto not. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to. Just all you had to say is yes. I would veto a national abortion ban. I feel like that's like a layup. That's an absolute layup. But I guess he doesn't want to piss off his pro-lifers, even though actually some of them think a national abortion ban is okay. Actually,
She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss.
Irrelevant, but
if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with.
Okay, see again. It was a little witty remark. I'm not mad at the remark. It's witty. But then now he's hammering it. This is not about student loan debt. That's not what's going on right now. One witty remark, sure, but stay on topic. But Donald Trump never stays on topic. Like it's whatever.
This whole thing about this whole idea and how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view.
You didn't discuss your position on a national abortion ban with your vice president? I mean, what do you all talk about? What do you all talk about? Is that okay. Interesting. Very, very weird. Okay.
But I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. Well, wonderful. Let's go to Congress, do it. But the fact is that for years, they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond. But I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family
very political,
are being denied IVF treatments. what is happening in our country. Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what
This
you
is
are putting
Kamala's
her
strongest
is
point,
unconscionable.
the abortion one.
And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask.
I
Will she
can't
allow
confirm or
abortion
deny
in the
that
8th
one.
month,
That
9th
one- that
month,
one's very
7th month?
possible.
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her
Why-
that
why
question?
don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question? Would you
because
veto?
do that abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask. Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her
Why-
that
why
question?
don't you
That's
answer
the
the
problem.
I don't. I feel like Kamala, you could just say, "Of course not." I mean, of course not. Yeah, of course not. His question, I had to register a little bit. Of course not. I would not okay abortion in the 7th, 8th, and 9th month. I feel like that's an easy gimme, just easy gimme. I'm not gonna lie. Say, of course not, but can you? You should have been like, of course not, but can you answer blah blah blah. Yeah.
Question, would you
because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question, would you veto?
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the governor, former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside, and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.